Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back in an episode of Beast Mode, our series dedicated to the building as well as painting of our studio's 3,000 point Beastmen Brayherd Army for Warhammer the Old World. And on this episode, we're going to show you the progress that we've made so far on this army. We're also going to talk about some of the design elements that I chose to use in this army as well. We'll go over the units that I've painted up so far and then also talk about what my next steps are in creating of this project. So as you guys can see, I actually have quite a bit done for this army. So let's go ahead and talk about exactly what I've accomplished. So the first thing I decided to start off with is, of course, primarily my core choices in my army. If you're a brand new player to a game like Warhammer, for example, the Old World, and you are trying to paint up your army before you actually play your army, I always suggest painting up your core requirements first. And the reason why that is the case is so that way you can start playing right off the bat with a painted army, especially if you're one of those kind of guys like me who likes to paint up its army before you actually play it. I do subscribe to my hashtag that I always put up for my video, which is painted before play, and that's because before I ever play anything on the tabletop, I actually make sure that the army is fully painted first before committing it to the tabletop, and I do that for a couple of reasons. The first reason why I do that is because I like to video my battle reports, and so it just looks really impressive when you have a fully painted army up on the tabletop, especially when you match it with the beautiful terrain that Iron Major makes on our channel. It looks really awesome. And when you have two painted armies facing off against each other, it looks really, really cool as well. The second reason why I do is because it keeps you focused. It actually forces you to complete the project so that way you can play on the tabletop. And so it keeps you focused that way, and also keeps you disciplined from straying away from too many projects. Because what's going to do is just kind of redirect your focus back to the army that you're originally painting, so that way you make sure you actually finish it up. So that's one of the reasons why I like to paint up my armies before we actually play it. So because of this, I got a couple of my core requirements completed. The first thing I did, of course, is paint this beautiful unit of 20 gore is what I decided to start off with first for my unit choices. As you can see, I also have my Great Bray Shaman here, as well as a War Gore in this unit as well. And the miniatures I purchased for this are actually from an Age of Sigmar player there. I guess they were going to play Beasts of Chaos originally, but they decided to sell their miniatures secondhand. I was able to get pretty much my entire Beastman army for about $125 actually, where most of it came from. The rest of it's actually just kind of pieced together from some things I also had laying around for the most part. But he had these really beautiful, like, Age of Sigmar looking bases, and I decided, you know what, instead of actually switching to square bases, I'll just keep them on rounds. Just because these bases look kind of cool, I thought they looked nice. Plus, the bases are actually larger in Warhammer the Old World anyways, so I figure win-win situation for these guys. But the color scheme I went for these guys are primarily a lot of earth tones. I use different skin color tones for the characters, for their skin from pale to dark brown to like regular flesh tones. Same thing with the fur. I got gray, black, and brown for the fur for the most part. I really like this turquoise and teal color design and green color design that I wanted to go with for this army. And the reason why is because I thought it would just look nice, contrasting nicely against all the earth tones that we see. And the bases, of course, are done in like a turquoise kind of style as well. The teal kind of color, because it just looks kind of neat in my opinion. I thought this looked really nice. I did not get a chance to actually spray these guys down with spray varnish. If you notice, these guys are actually pretty glossy. The reason why is because I have not been able to get a chance to spray these guys down with some matte varnish. Just because I got to go to Walmart to go get it, and sometimes I just don't want to mess with going to Walmart, so I'm probably going to wait till to get some other things first and then just kind of spray them all at once for that one. So that's a unit of 20 gore. Used teal as well as greenish teal and bright teal for their accent colors on these guys. This character right here actually was already painted up by the original owner. I thought they did a pretty good job, so I just kept the paint job for that guy. And then, of course, I used this red for the cloak here for the Great Ray Shaman to make it look like he contrasted against everybody else. Did a quick oil wash of the outside of these things. They look absolutely fantastic. And then over here, we have my other core requirements, which is my Bestigore unit. Now, this unit right here is about 13 guys. That's what it consists of. I have my Beast Lord there, just a normal command group of Bestigore, as well as normal Bestigore miniatures. I plan on using unit fillers to actually make this unit just a little bit bigger. It's going to actually be a unit of 25 Bestigore when I get done. So it's going to be 25 Bestigore, and then 20 Gore is what it's going to look like by the time it gets done with my core requirements. So I just kept up the whole like bluish teal, greenish teal color scheme going on throughout this unit, just because I thought it looked really nice against the earth tones. It also contrasts nicely from those guys as well. And as you can see, these guys are also high gloss too. Just haven't got a chance to use my spray varnish on these guys. I had to get another can, and I just didn't want to go to the store to buy it because, you know, going to Walmart is kind of not fun. So that's the reason why I did that. So the nice thing about the new rule set is you have a Beast Lord for a general of your army. Your Pestigore are actually considered a core requirement, which is kind of nice. It kind of helps you bump it up to that 3,000 point level. Now, the other additions I've added to this army are actually from Warcry. Over here in the front, I got what is called the Raptor Rex, I think is what they were called. There are these 6 crazy turkey lizard things. The killer chickens, as my friend likes to call them. And so I had 6 of those from the Warcry box set from years ago when I bought the original Warcry box set. And I found a really use for those guys, so I decided to use them as Razor Gore. I think they do a pretty good job. I mean, they got feathers, they got blades, they look appropriately mutated, so I'm going to use these guys as 2 units of 3 Razor Gore to fill up some of my core requirement. They'd be good for using against chaff, also chasing guys down and smashing them with their good attacks in close combat, take out chaff, march block, that kind of thing, so I thought it would look really cool. These guys are all painted a different color, just because at the time I was painting these guys, that was the thought process I was going through. Oddly enough, I got about halfway through painting these 6 Raptor Rexes before I decided to stop, just because I had other projects I wanted to work on at the time. I did a Warcry Battle Report series a long time ago, and after I got done with that series, I decided to move back on to Necromunda. So I had some Necromunda projects I wanted to work on, so these guys went to the back burner. But these guys painted really quick, and I was actually happy to be able to use these guys now in this army, which is actually kind of nice. Look appropriately mutated and monstrous looking, so absolutely fantastic there. And then finally in the back, I have 6 Furies from Warcry as well. I'm going to use these guys as Harpies in my army. And the reason why is because having a unit that can scout, fly, are excellent war machine hunters. I plan on using these guys in order to do that job specifically. So went with a straight red color scheme for these guys, just because I thought it looked really nice. It contrasted nicely with all the different browns and blues in this army as well. It makes them also stand out. Plus, they just look really cool. I like the way they came out. So the same thing happened with these 6 Furies. The same thing that happened with these guys happened to my Raptor Rexes. I originally was starting halfway painting these guys. Then I stopped moving on to Necromunda projects. So then I realized, I could use these guys and dig them up from my bits box to use them as Harpies for this Beastman army. So I decided to use that for that. So it's kind of nice. My Beastman army is actually kind of growing, just with some old miniatures that I actually have in the studio's collection as well. So I really love the dynamic poses that these guys actually have as well. And so far, I'm really loving the way that this Beastman army is coming out. It looks very bestial, as it should. No human-looking things. Everything looks mutated and messed up, which is kind of cool. It's exactly the kind of vibe I want to go with. My army is actually quite points-heavy, concentrated for a Beastman army. I know Beastman armies supposed to be like these large horde armies, but I actually make it to more concentrated in like different monstrous infantry, monstrous cavalry, that kind of thing, just because that's what I purchased from the guy that I bought these from. Very rarely are my armies ever planned out ahead of time. I just kind of like buy what I can get at the cheapest price possible. Now, while it might not be optimal to build like optimized lists and things like that, it is significantly cheaper, and at the end of the day, that's all I really care about, is saving money as much as I can to play this hobby. And the nice thing about these guys, too, is I could actually use these guys for Age of Sigmar if I wanted to as well, to play Beasts of Chaos. Not that I do play Age of Sigmar, but if I ever wanted to, I do have that option open to me, which is kind of nice as well. So yeah, really happy with the way these guys came out so far. I still have to build some limit trays. That part's going to be kind of interesting. I have to build limit trays to these guys so that way I can move them around the tabletop easier. But that is another project for another day. So now that we're done talking about the progress I made so far, let's go and talk about what my future plans are for the next step. So let's go on to the next step that I'm working on next. So I actually have a couple of projects planned out for the next step of this army. First thing I do, actually, I'm going to paint up this unit of 20 Ungor over here to make up the very last of my core requirements. As you can see, these miniatures have been pretty much primed already from the previous owner. I actually have a couple of miniatures I paint up already for a Mordheim warband. So I plan on using that same exact color scheme for these Ungors. So using turquoises and teals for the accent colors against all the earth tones these guys have. Paint up all 20 of these guys. I see the previous owner that I bought these from already painted up, I think, 4 of these guys. Started going halfway through. I think I'll just keep that purplish, grayish first color scheme he has for those 4, just to pay homage to the guy I bought these from, because, you know, it looks really cool so far. And then once I get done with that, the next thing I'm going to work on are these Endless Spells and Chaos Spawn. So the box that the miniatures I actually bought secondhand had a bunch of things. It has a Cygor, sorry, not a Cygor, it has a Braystone Herdstone thing. I'm going to use to make a Cygor. It came with a Chaos Giant as well as a Gorgon. But he also had these Endless Spell things. So I guess you have like this Bull-looking thing from the Endless Spell, as well as 3 bases of Raven-looking things. And then you got this interesting-looking Horn-looking thing as well. And then as well as 2 Chaos Spawn. I plan on using the Chaos Spawn, the Horn thing, and the 3 Raven things as unit fillers for these units of Gore as well as Bestigore to make them larger, because one of the things that they talk about is that we are allowing unit fillers to come into place. So that part is quite nice. I probably have these things represent 4. Probably have the Chaos Spawn represent 4 fighters, while the other smaller sub represents 2 fighters. That's probably what I'll do. So that way I have, 16 fighters that I can actually bring to the tabletop if I want to. So that part's kind of nice. I already got these guys primed up already with some flat brown primer. Planning on just hitting these up really, really quickly, using them as part of my core requirements. And then for this Fire Bull from Hell thing, I'm not sure what it's called. I don't play just somewhere. I plan on using it as a Bestigore chariot, as a Razor Gore chariot. I think it'd make a really cool proxy for that. It's got the same base size, and plus, using this thing ring at people and charging them. I don't think it's going to be much of a stretch of the imagination for people to guess that's exactly what that is supposed to be. So I think it'd be kind of fun to actually use that. I plan to actually, I was kind of debating actually whether putting one of my characters on that chariot, because now we add chariot wounds to the character wounds, which is fantastic. It's like as if Games Workshop watched a couple of my videos of where I like to do things back in the day, because I thought that would make too much sense. So that'd be really cool as well to do that too. So that's what I'm going to be focused on next. So then this whole tray here on this brown wooden tray would count up as the rest of my core requirements, including that one. It could be one of my special or core if I decide to make it to a Tuscarora chariot, I guess. But it's up to me how I want to do it. And then after that, I have 6 Dragon Ogres that I need to paint up next, which I was able to get secondhand. All of this so far that I've gotten is secondhand stuff. These guys are all primed up with some red primer. And for these guys, my plan is to actually paint these guys up in the classic heavy metal style of Dragon Ogres from the 1990s. When I was growing up as a kid, they're in the 4th edition and 4th and 3rd editions of Warhammer Fantasy. The Dragon Ogres actually had red dragon parts and then like a normal ogre top. So I might go back and do that just because I thought that red was really, really cool looking. Plus, it will contrast nicely against the turquoise and teal of their bases as well as the accent colors. I think that red will make a nice contrasting color. I think it's going to really pop when I get done doing it. But that's what my plan is. I'm not going to go with green Dragon Ogres. I'm going to go with red. So make it look really cool there. And then once I get done with all those, of course, I then have all of this I still need to work on next, which is all my monsters. I got a Brace Stone here that I'm going to plan to use as a Sigor. I also got, 9 Minotaurs, and as well as converted Minotaurs that I made out of some Reaper Minis that I purchased for that. So I also got a Doom Bull over here that I got from that kit. And then I got reason why I'm not working on these guys next is because I'm waiting for the bases to arrive. I had to order a pack of 10 50mm bases from Reaper Minis for Amazon, so I'm waiting for that to arrive, and then I'll work on my Minotaurs next. And then I also got a Chaos Giant as well as a Gorgon there in the background. And then once I'm done with that, this army will be completed. So I'm really happy with the progress that I have so far made for this army. And also some of the future projects that I got planned for this army as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting all that completed. So that is what my next steps are. I'm going to start with my Ungor first, then with my unit fillers, probably do the chariot thing next, and then right afterwards jump straight to my Dragon Ogres. So there you guys have it. This is the progress I made so far with my Beastmen army for my Beastmen Brayherd Army for Warhammer Warhammer the Old World. It's going to be a 3,000 point army, and I'm really loving the progress I've been making so far. I think I got through these guys pretty quickly, and it's actually pretty good considering I only spent a week to paint these up so far. So progress is looking good. I'm probably thinking it's going to take me another week to get this portion done. So it'll probably be 2 weeks there, another week for my Dragon Ogres because they're quite large, and then probably 2 weeks for the remainder that I have to work on next for my monsters and Minotaurs. So probably that is what? That's a month and a half from now, I'll have this army fully completed. Assuming that, nothing catastrophic happens between now and then. So yeah, really liking the progress I've made. So that's good for this, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to this channel. That's good for this week, guys. I will catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.